Hey everybody, it's Cyborg, and I am joined by Temp, as usual for the entire series here, and we are covering Injustice comic series, the entire series from issue 1 of year 1 all the way through the last issue of year 5. And we are starting out on year 4 now, so if you have not checked out the previous years or the previous issues, definitely please go do so, because you do not want to get spoiled. Some great stuff in the first 3 years, tremendous writing, some great character work, so you do not want to miss that, trust me. A lot of fun was had through those 3 years, and a lot of fun with the characters. So definitely go check those out first. Hey, if you're new to us, go check out the Facebook group. We have a closed group, and you can ask to join. I will accept you. It's a closed Facebook group, but we have a decent community there, and we discuss things every day, so go join that. Like the video, share the video with some friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. Now that I've got all that craziness and dumb stuff out of the way, let's get right to the issue. Year 4, issue number 1, guys. Alright, so let's jump right into it. I'm going to pull up the issues once again. Okay, so we start off in Olympus, and we see Ares talking to Hercules, and he's kind of explaining why all the gods are pretty much useless these days, at least in the eyes of people on Earth. And Hercules takes great offense to this, but we see Ares is plotting something. We need to put mankind back in its place. Meanwhile, we see some monologuing. Meanwhile, on top of the Umbrella Factory, okay, and we see Hal monologuing from his Yellow Lantern self, as we see Superman sitting there talking to the Flash. He's talking to Captain Marvel / Shazam, and then he's talking to Hal himself, and Superman says, we need to do better. We need to find Batman. He's hiding somewhere. He didn't just give up. And yeah, Hal gets pretty offended by this, by the idea that he's saying we need to do better, and he feels like Superman's being condescending to him. Superman gives him some crazy eye looks going on from his throne, and just tells him to just, take your feelings and get the hell out of here. And Hal says,
yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
this was a good scene in my opinion. This is kind of the scene I always wanted from Hal Jordan since we started reading the comics. So
yeah, Hal's starting to stand up for himself a bit more and not just take orders for once. And yeah, he says, what if I don't want to just get out of here? And Superman starts beaming back at him with his laser eyes, his heat vision eyes, and all of a sudden we're about to see something go down, and he just rips Hal's head off. Like, oh my god, I did not... I'm just kidding. Okay,
so much blood.
Yeah. Just kidding. Wonder Woman breaks it up. She plays spoiler, and Hal eventually is just like, whatever, takes off. Whereas Wonder Woman goes and talks to Clark, and she explains that, she accidentally, not intentionally, she makes sure to stress that, she unintentionally killed Huntress, somebody that she was considered a friend before. And Superman's just like, yeah, well, we've all had to do that. I killed Green Arrow. I beat his face into the ground until there was no face. And Hal's murdered like his entire... Well, I guess he just murdered Guy Gardner, but... Anyways.
Which counts. I mean, that's a lot. It's
Yeah.
loaded.
Yes. So, we've all got our hands dirty. We've all done things we don't like. But Wonder Woman kind of tells him, you know what? Don't put yourself above us. Don't turn your allies into insurgents. That's the last thing you want to do. So she kind of warns him, you're starting to put yourself on a high horse there. And, well, I mean, she has herself to blame because she's been stroking that ego ever since she could.
It's a little weird. I'm glad the Huntress stuff had an effect.
Yeah.
But it sounds like even she's kind of recognizing that this has all become a game of toy soldiers. This isn't real. They're all riding an ego trip at this point.
Right.
So it's more that she's afraid Superman's going to legit kill Hal Jordan. I think that's what she's actually afraid of, but she can't say that. Sure. Although I think she would probably lose if she went up 1-on-1 against Superman. She's pretty strong, though. She'd put up a decent fight, I imagine, but I don't know too much about her power set, even though I have read quite a bit of Wonder Woman.
I'd say her and Hal together would have a shot, but I don't think her on her own would take down Superman, no.
Yeah, that sounds right. That's intuitive.
And then we cut to the hideout where, I guess it's called the Pacific Lead Mines, Northwest Alaska, and that's where we left off in year 3 with Batman and his team hiding out. Batman has grown a beard. Not much unlike mine. Yeah, if I do say myself. I mean, the guy knows how to, yeah, it's reminiscent of everyone in MKX, and
It's very. It's a good beard.
it's a
like
solid beard. It looks good on old Brucey here, and he's just sitting in his Batman uniform without the cowl. So he's just ready to go. He is kind of in focus mode, and Alfred stops in and he says, "You know what? You need to eat." And he makes sure that Bruce isn't just staring at the blank screens thinking that there's something on. Basically making sure that Bruce isn't crazy at this point, and that he continues to eat and take care of himself. Bruce, kind of takes exception to this at first and says, do you need to watch me eat? And he makes sure that Alfred understands that they were just turned off, that he hasn't been just staring at a blank screen this entire time. So he's just kind of trying to reassure Alfred that everything is okay. But Alfred explains, none of this is your burden to carry alone. It's not your fault that Lois died, that Superman killed Green Arrow, this and that, or the Joker. So just kind of trying to make sure that Bruce isn't just going insane in his own mind.
One thing I would prefer is if Alfred wasn't still... I wish he would drop the suit at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I wish his relationship with Batman would evolve. I mean, the bow tie is really unnecessary at this point.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. I mean, definitely. He doesn't need
I would like to at least
Butler.
look like he spent the last year eating mac and cheese in a lead mine. Like, that would be more akin... I feel like he hasn't changed at all in the last 300 days. He's been hiding in a lead mine.
He's got a beard.
Well, he's got a mustache.
Oh, you're talking about Alfred? Yeah.
Alfred, yeah.
Okay.
I assume that Alfred eats mac and cheese unless he keeps the good shit for himself. I don't know. That would be funny. But
you can't go wrong with mac and cheese. Kraft is good.
It's good.
Anyways, then we move on to Cyborg and Damian walking in a park. And Damian's all gung-ho about finding Batman, that, he's going to find him. That he's like a little version of Batman. He's Batman 2.0, but he's younger and smarter. Cyborg says, you kind of got an ego going on there. You're a little delusional. And yeah, all of a sudden they get jumped, but we don't know who it is quite yet. So, and also it looks like Damian's got a growth spurt, as Cyborg mentions, because he's definitely taller and looks a little bit more like he's a young man at this point instead of a boy.
Yeah, definitely more akin to the game model as we've seen in Injustice 1.
Right, we're getting closer. Definitely getting closer. And then we cut over to, looks like we see the Batwing, or Batman's flying plane thing, the Batplane, Batwing, whatever you want to call it. When I say Batwing, I know there's a character called Batwing, so I don't want people to get confused, but Batman's flying plane, he lands it on top of this mountain, and we can see Ares in the background. He says, "I didn't think you'd show." Batman says, "Desperate times." And Ares says, "So, you've thought about my proposition." Batman says, "I have. I'm in." He dropped the cowl at this point. There's really no reason to have it.
Which I like. That's good.
Yeah, he looks good with it, so, or looks good without it, I should say. But yeah, so that ends chapter 1. Thoughts so far, or should we keep on moving?
I mean, just the artwork is a little weird on Cyborg. Also, again, I don't like Cyborg's characterization. It's just kind of a caustic dude who talks shit.
Yeah.
He looks really old. Like, he looks like Ernie Hudson old in this picture next to Robin. But yeah, I hate Cyborg. I wish Cyborg. I hope Cyborg gets some sort of redemption in the next game. But
oh no.
Yeah, it's a long shot, but good artwork everywhere else. Everywhere else, the artwork looks really good. With the Hal and Wonder Woman stuff, that looked really good. But that's all I got.
Yeah, I have a hard time believing Hal or Cyborg can redeem themselves. I mean, obviously we know what's going on with Hal, but they both they're so far down that path. I mean, they're not Superman levels, but they're just a hop and a step away. So I feel like, and Superman's at least leading the cause. They're just followers. Like, they look even worse, in my opinion, by just blindly following somebody. But anyways, I guess we'll see how that all pans out. We'll go to chapter 2, and we see Montoya, and she is with a Detective Sawyer, and they're going to bust into a building to save some children who are being held captive or hostage, so to speak. Montoya kind of says, maybe we should wait for some backup. But Sawyer says, no, let's go in because we're going to need a coroner at that point because, they might die if we wait any longer. So they bust into the building. They go inside, they turn the knob, and all of a sudden there's like this cult inside, and it's kind of creepy. They're holding a dead chicken. They're holding a bunch of cleavers, and there's sickles in the background. There's some crazy writing going on. They got all sorts of creepy masks going on, like one that looks kind of like a plague doctor with a beak and everything. And yeah, it's just all sorts of creepiness. And all of a sudden they get attacked by said things. Montoya looks like she shoots one. And then we see kind of one of them is going to attack Montoya while she's on the ground with an axe, but all of a sudden it's busted up by Huntress. Huntress saves the day, except for Huntress, it is not, because she is dead. So it kind of fades away, and it actually is Batwoman, and Montoya was just dreaming the whole time, or she's in a drunken haze, so to speak. So she's hallucinating this entire thing, and it was actually Batwoman trying to get her attention. So,
I mean, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
As a cameo, I really got attached to Huntress, even though she didn't do a lot. I did really enjoy having that character around, so
sure.
I'm glad, it's not like year 4, next big thing. They're actually tying it into the other stuff. Year 4 is really not so bad so far. Right now, I actually am enjoying it quite a bit.
Sure, absolutely. Let's see here. Just jump a little ahead here. Okay. So we see Montoya get up, and Catwoman's explaining that, yeah, she's just drunk, and she's got the right idea. And Batwoman's saying, are you seriously leaving Selina? Selina's kind of not too happy with what Bruce has been doing, just hiding away, and that they've just been sitting here, waiting, and that Montoya feels that he's a coward. So they're not really happy with the leadership right now. The whole, basically just sitting stagnant and hiding. Selina leaves. Montoya kind of says, you know what? He's afraid to do what he has to do, but she's not, and we just kind of leave her off on there, so we're not sure what the heck she might be doing. We jump to Harley and Ivy, and I'm not quite sure how they're able to stay hidden, because they're in what appears to be a glass, like a greenhouse of some sort, and looks like it's just in a nice park in Metropolis, or not Metropolis, but wherever the heck in Alaska, or we're probably in the same area that the others are, but it looks like they're above ground somehow. But it looks nice and green and sunny, and Poison Ivy's just taking care of her plants while Harley's essentially trying to get Ivy to commit crimes with her. She's super bored. She just wants to, she wants to kidnap, steal, blow up, and Poison Ivy says, nope, not even a little. We're not doing that. And Harley says, you're boring, and Poison Ivy just kind of turns to her and says, isn't there anyone that you can turn to? And Harley thinks about this for a second, and she's in a school outfit, seemingly, which is a little odd, but she immediately... I
like it a lot, though. I think it looks really good, to be honest with you. But go on.
Yeah, no, it looks a little odd, but I mean, it's like, what are they in? Like professors, Xavier's for gifted students all of a sudden? Like, they're just hiding out. I don't know why she's in like a nice like Catholic school uniform is definitely the vibe I'm getting. Anyway, she clearly finds somebody to turn to. She goes, puts her face up against the glass. We see Billy Batson sitting in school. She puts her hand up against the glass and shoves herself up against the glass, and she says, in her perfect Cable Guy impression, she says, "Oh, Billy." I mean, we don't get a nipple scene here because obviously they can't go that far like Jim Carrey did in the movie. But...
Well, especially not with Billy Batson right there. That would be kind of fucked up.
And the fact, he's underage, she's not. Yeah, that would be a little. I like her face though when it's up against the glass before she does the "Oh Billy" thing. She just looks like she looks obsessed, like creepy obsessed stalker. And then she puts herself up against the glass and does the "Oh Billy," clearly an homage to Cable Guy. Because that's a funny scene. And then we cut back to Damian and Cyborg, and they kind of do a little repeat of where we last left off. They're in Washington, D.C., and all of a sudden we see who attacked Cyborg, and it turns out to be Montoya. So this is all kind of splicing in. It looks like it was happening in succession here. So Montoya, her whole plan is, and she looks ripped here. Like her arm is super jacked. Like she looks like for the past like 6 months or however long they've been in hiding, she's just been doing nothing but arm day. Like screw leg day, we're just doing arms every day. Just bicep curls. Anyways, Damien, starts fighting her, throws a batarang, and it just breaks off her head. Doesn't break her head off, but it breaks off of her head. And he kicks her, punches her right in the face, and just doesn't even phase her. She uppercuts him into the sky, seemingly, like way up to helicopters. Like he flies way up there, like a stage transition super or something. And then he comes crashing down onto the street. She picks him up, and he's all bloody. And she says, "Superman, you need to answer for your crimes. Face me or Robin dies." To be continued. Breaking news. Superhero battle in Washington Monument. Yeah.
Not a good look for Robin. Not a good look for Cyborg. A really kind of weird, awkward look for Montoya. This is not where I thought this was going. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. It's kind of weird that they went with this story direction.
Yeah.
Of like Montoya going rogue. I didn't see this coming, but then Damien is still. I say Cyborg gets a bad rap in this comic, but Damien still hasn't really gotten his shining moment. Yeah. He's pretty much been a bitch since we started reading.
It's true. But yeah, I mean, overall, a decent issue. Not bad, not great, but I mean, it was pretty good. I mean, it was average in the terms of nothing really to complain about too much. It's interesting to see where it goes. I mean, they started a nice little couple plot threads already with where does this whole Montoya thing go? Does she die? How does this resolve? What's going to happen with Hal? Is this the start of him turning back to the side of good? Is this those seeds being planted? Where does Wonder Woman go from here? And what is Batman doing with Ares? I mean, that just seems really crazy. Where does Harley and Billy go? And is Poison Ivy just going to be tending to her plants the entire year? Who knows? But yeah, so they kind of planted a lot in this issue. Definitely this did not feel like filler. This was like, hey, let's start all these plot threads going on for the year.
The issue felt super long. Like I usually read these things in about 10 minutes, but I was still going like at the 15-minute mark. I don't know why, but it felt like there was a lot of content in this issue. And going back to the characters, like I say that Cyborg and Damien haven't been terribly well portrayed. I really like Shazam. Like Shazam, I think, has really been very tastefully done. Like since the series started, I always felt like this is dyed-in-the-wool Shazam. I don't feel that way with Cyborg. Definitely not Damien. Hal, I forgive Hal, especially given the next game, just because it's very clear Hal. He hates what he's become. It's almost like he went to hell before he even had a chance to die. And that's what kind of makes you forgive Hal. He's kind of created a hell of his own making, and he hates that he's basically become a jobber for a very bad man, and Hal clearly knows it. That's why I kind of go easy on Hal.
Unless the ghost of Guy Gardner comes back and forgives him.
And he would. And he would do that.
It's not even just Guy Gardner. It's also Jon Stewart, because...
Yeah.
Sinestro obviously killed John, and then that led to Hal doing what he did. But had they not been working with Sinestro, then John probably wouldn't have died the way he did in the fashion that he did, at least. So that's somewhat on Hal's shoulders as well for so okayly working with Sinestro. Then again, John did as well, so I mean he's also at fault for that. And so I don't know. But yeah, he went against the entire Green Lantern Corps, and a lot of them died. I mean, poor Mogo. Mogo? Mogo.
Poor
sounds Mogo. Right. I mean, Hal's definitely got a hell of a road in front of him if he wants redemption.
Yeah, it sounds like he's still going down that road based on what we've seen in the Injustice stuff. So, yeah, that could be really interesting. The artwork has some spotty moments, but overall pretty good. Now, this is kind of what Montoya aside, this is essentially what I expected from Year 4. Yeah,
I mean, so far, the writing's not bad. The art isn't terrible. I mean, there's some definitely good artwork with like Superman looked really good, and even Robin looks pretty good in his interactions, as well as Billy and Harley and stuff. So everything's still standing up pretty good so far. So nothing's taken a crazy downward dive so far. So yeah, we'll just have to see how all this plays out. I was really curious about that cult at first, like what that was leading to, but then that ended up being a hallucination, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was wondering about that as well. It seems like a very Huntress storyline. I might revisit her shit once we're done with this.
Yeah. But anyways, so that wraps it up pretty much for this issue, guys. I mean, we got the whole year 4 ahead of us. I heard the annual for year 4 is actually really good. Supposedly it has the writer from years 1 through 3 comes back, I believe, for year 4. But yeah, so we have some good stuff to look forward to, but so far, so good. So we'll see you guys on the next issue, issue 2, tomorrow. You guys have a good one.
Yeah, take care, everybody.